Hi, everyone. So let's talk about the rhetorical situation for Jonathan Swift's A Modest Proposal. First, let's make sure that you understand the difference between rhetoric and rhetorical analysis and the rhetorical situation. So rhetoric, again, refers to just the language, particularly the language that people use when they are persuading us of something. Remember that rhetorical features refer to things like pathos, ethos, and logos, or specific ways that we use language to persuade. And then we have the rhetorical situation, which refers to the things that were going on in the real world at the time that a piece was written. I have some resources here for you, so you'll have the ability to click on those links as needed to review those things. And let's go over the rhetorical situation for this piece. So remember that our author is Jonathan Swift. He was a master at this technique called satire. So that's going to be really important for your understanding of the text. Basically, he would do a lot of social commentary by being maybe darkly humorous, sarcastic, etc. And A Modest Proposal is a great example of that. The time period when this is being written and also taking place is the 1700s. So lots of things were very different. Everyday life was a lot more difficult. We didn't have social support for things like if you lost a job or had a bad crop or got sick. Things like poverty and famine, war, problems with housing, those were all very real concerns for lots of people. This takes place in Ireland. So specifically during the 1700s in Ireland and before, we had a lot of really important things happening between Protestants and Catholics. So hundreds of years before this, a Protestant king from England has declared himself King of Ireland, which led to wars and a long line of English rule imposed on the Irish. Many of the English were also Protestant, whereas Irish tended to be more Catholic at this particular time. So the English also imposed these laws that, of course, the Irish found very problematic because they prevented Catholics from doing things like owning land, owning horses, holding office, and it just led to a lot of strife between these two groups. We also had a lot of famine and poverty, along with population growth, which the Protestants viewed as problematic. So the English and Irish were like really mad at each other, right, at this point in time. They had been at war for a long time. We had absentee landlords who exploited the Irish workers, evaded taxes, and were just generally like really not cool to the people that they were in charge of. Also, the English were in charge in Ireland, so it would have been their laws, their police, their courts. Everything was kind of imposed on the Irish, and there was a lot of hate between these two groups. So, of course, it led to lots of fighting and strife, and it was, a big problem. So keep that in mind. Also keep in mind some literary and rhetorical terms. So we're learning to talk about literary and rhetorical terms such as form. For example, this was written in the form of a pamphlet. This was a common way to spread information at this particular time. They were short, they were pretty easy to produce, and it was a good formal choice for Swift. We also have some examples of imagery. So those things that are highlighted in the green here are good examples of like vivid language that help paint a picture. And then we have some ethos and logos. So you can see Swift establishing his credibility here in the yellow and then appealing to his audience's sense of logic there in the orange. So a quick recap, these are all things that you should remember as you start reading A Modest Proposal. Times were tough. There was major beef between the Irish and the English, particularly between Protestants and Catholics. And Swift was addressing all of this using satire in A Modest Proposal. So now you're ready. Go ahead and start reading it on your own.